Answers? I think I'm entitled.
You want answers!
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work. When you go to church. When you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
The higher up you go in success, money, wealth, fame, the more you have to sacrifice. And I mean that quite literally. See, the thing is, you're going to be joining a very, very selective club when you reach that amount of success. This very selective club is not ruled by your average human being who has empathy and care. They may look human, but they don't have an ounce of humanity in them. These people overtake the media companies, health and wellness, especially healthcare, transportation services, water services, anything you can think of, they have their grubby hands on. They don't operate through the same rules that the rest of humanity do. And if you are lucky enough to somehow reach that amount of wealth, you either join them or they, you. And even if you try to run away, they will find a way to you. In this video, I'm going to be specifically talking about the media companies that they overtake and rule, since the Diddy trials are going on. Now, through my intuition, and I'm pretty sure just, other people's common sense as well, Diddy is just the face of the evil that's going on. There are more people in control of all of this above him. And of course, they're going to put him as the scapegoat. Not to say he didn't do any of this, he totally did. That man is evil. But they would rather have one public person go down than let the rest of the world know that this is what you need to do to join the club. Do you want to have all of these privileges, or you're going to have to be just as screwed up as we are? Think of it like a fraternity. When you join a fraternity, they do a lot of hazing. They make you do a lot of weird, freaky stuff, some illegal. This is the kind of mentality you have with these people up there. Same thing with the music industry. A lot of people have to sell their souls, aka sell their integrity, and sign contracts with actual demonic forces to rise up in fame as almost like a barter system. Like it's a blackmail. And for those of you who think all of these celebrities have free will, they don't. Because like I said, to join this club, you need to give away your free will, your humanity, and your sanity. They're never going to let you join this club if you disobey them. Because once you disobey them, off with your head. Now, if you are spiritual enough, you know the people who are up there, they're not necessarily what you call 100% human. They are a hybrid of some sort. I'll just leave it at that. These hybrids see themselves as above and superior to the rest of you. You are their energy source, you are their food source. So for you to think that you can be elite like them, you have to be initiated to show them that you don't see humanity as humane at all. You see humanity as something to be used. So to those of you who want to embark on this powerful journey of wealth, fame, success, think twice. You think they're really going to easily allow you to be in this? They're not. They will make you do a lot of heinous things so they could hold it over your head so you can never escape. And on top of that, they make you sign a contract with their Lord and Savior, the hellish realms. If you would like to learn more about these entities, these fallen angelics, what these hybrids really are made of, my book, Made in God's Image, talks about everything you need to know that I cannot say here online. I've been banned on so many social media platforms, I'm not trying to do it again. Link to my book in my bio. Truth is stranger than fiction.
It's a level of success where it's a door. When you platinum and you getting 50,000 a show, I've been there. There's a door that you could walk in. I'm not sure if it's homo or if it's Illuminati. I just didn't take that though. I went straight.
What do you mean?
Listen. When you get to a level of success, when you getting 30, 40, 50,000 a show, you platinum, you running across the world. There's 3 different doors, right? There's 3 different ways to walk. There's to the left, there's to the right, and then there's straight. Straight is you're on your own. Let's see if you continue this success, young man. Let's see if it's all about your skills, young man. Let's really see that when you went straight. To the right, I'm not sure if that's the home shit right there. And then there's to the left, I'm not sure if there's some sacrifice going on right there. I'm not sure because I went straight. But I was offered these doors.
This is your offer?
I don't, no. I'm saying that to the right when I seen it, those was those guys over there. I just chose to go straight, and I haven't been platinum since. I was approached. I was where a person asked me, "Yo, such and such," and I was just like, "Nah," like, you know,
such and such, like, what
like,
you mean,
yo,
right?
you know, because at the end of the day, you probably make it to where you make it on your own,
right?
But a lot of people will offer you something to sustain that
on the way.
And at that moment, this was, I don't know if it was that person or if this was a whole entity that came with it. Mm-hmm. But I was offered something and I just wasn't with it. Mm-hmm. And then they said, good luck, young man, you're on your own. And I never went platinum since.
There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. That's what the owners count on. The fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
I'm not with it. When they, you know what I mean? Like, what they do is this is what they do. Like, and they know what they do with the artists is easy. They send the stylist at them first.
Yeah. Yep.
And if the stylist report back and be like, oh, he ready, then they invite you to the party. And that's when they be like, yo, look, when you go in here, it's going to be some, you know what I mean? It's a the door.
Okay, now look, what Ali Vegas is doing to you right now, he's giving you the game of how these getting turned the out. In this
yeah, like
they try to put this tight ass shirt on you.
That's what they do.
And if you wear the shirt,
they like, oh, he ready.
He with it.
That's you telling them like, yeah, I'm ready. And then next thing you know, you get invited to the party where the greeting is the man squeezing your.
Whoa!
I'm telling you.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm telling them like, yo, son, like, it's so crazy because I always tell them, like, my cousins would be like, yo, son, like, you that guy, like, why you? I'm like, bro, I don't want it that bad.
So, all right, let's keep it a buck. Did you actually see get twisted to the other side?
You go to that, you go to that party. Like, if you ain't turning around and you see everybody, you seeing everybody walk through the joint. I mean, the thuggish niggas. You see them walking, you like, and you in the parking lot, like on your way out, like, yo, son, crazy.
Yeah.
And they like, oh, I know.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, yo, nah, that's some wild shit. Nah.
You know what
I'm just gonna go check it out.
That's like what I'm trying to tell you was like, we coming down the hill, like yo, bro, like, yo, this is facts. Like, then next thing you know, you get invited to the party where the greeting is the man squeezing your.
Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave, listen, we got it all set up
we're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. You know, the pressure comes in. He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then, like, the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. What is wrong? What is this, Brokeback Mountain in here? So then...
Convention Wallace.
Wow. Wow. I don't think anyone saw this one coming.
Convention Wallace, of course, the first African American, the first female, and first child pope.
And what is the new pope doing?
Allegations are starting to resurface that Dave Chappelle was disposed of and cloned after his cousin comes out saying that that's not her cousin no more. He had a close relationship with his cousin, and she says after the first time he came back from Africa, he went to a big executive meeting. After that meeting, she never spoke to him again. Dave Chappelle said he was done with Hollywood and he was done with the media. He wanted to escape. He knew what everything came with. He told his cousin that he talked to every single day that he was going to go into this meeting and let her know what happened. She says that after the meeting, she tried to call him and there was no answer. Finally, after calling Dave Chappelle's phone, somebody answered that was not Dave Chappelle. And she says she tried to talk to her cousin, but they wouldn't pass him the phone. After this, nobody ever answered the phone again. When Dave Chappelle resurfaced and came back and was on the comedy stage, she looked at this TV screen and said, "That's not my cousin." For a man who didn't want to be a part of Hollywood and everything that came with it, who turned down millions of dollars and just wanted to live his life, to come back and resurface back in the limelight, this is clear proof that he has been cloned. The cousin says he's been disposed of and cloned, that that's not her cousin, that the person that we're watching is someone else, a puppet.
The Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Believes that there are loopholes that could allow the cloning of human beings if the technology were developed. Therefore, today I am issuing a directive that bans the use of any federal funds for any cloning of human beings. Effective immediately, no federal agency may support, fund, or undertake such activity. Of course, a great deal of research and activity in this area is supported by private funds. That is why I am urging the entire scientific and medical community, every foundation, every university, every industry that supports work in this area, to heed the federal government's example. I'm asking for a voluntary moratorium on the cloning of human beings until our Bioethics Advisory Commission and our entire nation have had a real chance to understand and debate the profound ethical implications of the latest advances. As we gain a fuller understanding of this technology, we must proceed not just with caution, but also with a conscience, by insisting that not a single taxpayer dollar supports human cloning, and by urging a moratorium on all private research in this area. We can ensure that as we move forward on this issue, we weigh the concerns of faith and family and philosophy and values, not merely of science alone. Thank you very much.
Do they possess a creative streak of genius that is unknown to most men? Or unknown to most men, are they in fact possessed? Is it possible that these actors and actresses are possessed by demonic spirits who have a specific agenda to fulfill? Oscar award-winning actor Denzel Washington told 60 Minutes exactly how he brings forth his best performances.
Basically what I did was got on my knees and sort of communicated with the spirits. And when I came out, I was in charge.
Powerful scene.
Powerful scene. I couldn't have acted that. I couldn't have written that down and made a decision to play.
So I was curious the other day and found this online. McDonald's sells 6.5 million burgers in one single day. That's 195 million burgers a month. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see cows lined up around every corner waiting to be turned into patties. I mean, seriously, do the math. Even if you stretched one cow into a bunch of burgers, you're still talking millions of cows just to keep up. Every day. So I started asking myself, where are all these cows coming from? Is there some secret super ranch hidden underground? Are they growing cows in labs, cloning meat behind closed doors? People laugh it off, but think, when was the last time you even saw a cow farm big enough to supply this madness? And don't say imported beef, because even globally, the numbers don't add up smooth. And look, I'm not saying it ain't real meat. I'm just asking the question no one wants to. What the hell are we eating? Because if it ain't cows, then what is it? Remember, I'm not insinuating anything. I am simply asking a question.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
Do actors really sell their soul for fame? Okay, that's a two-part question. First of all, most actors that go to Hollywood sell their soul because they want to be famous. Okay, now, what does that mean to sell your soul? It means to compromise. It means to side with evil because you're not siding with God. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of actors in Hollywood that call themselves Christians, and some of them are, okay? But in order to adhere, to conform to the rules of, quote, Hollywood, you're going to not side with God, and you're going to automatically side with the devil, because that's the system in which that Hollywood operates. Now, that's one side of it, so that basically everybody sells their soul when they go to Hollywood because they want to be loved. It's a very carnal business, okay? The other side gets a little deeper. It gets a little more complex, okay? You have major stars that you've heard about in the news and you've seen on television and film. They truly are Satan worshipers. They truly have not only sold their soul to Satan, but they've merged their soul to the satanic rituals that you find in Hollywood. And by the way, satanic rituals they have all across the country and the world. So two parts. One is everyone sells their soul if they're not on the side of God. The other one is the other avenue is not only do these people sell their soul, they merge their soul to the devil himself and participate in the satanic ritual abuse. Is there any truth to program multiples in Hollywood? The answer is absolutely. Why is that? Because there's program multiples everywhere, okay? In churches, in Hollywood, in Middle America, they're everywhere. Now, the agenda of a program multiple, it's not a program multiple's agenda, it's the person who programmed them, which is usually involved in the satanic church, is to further the devil's cause, okay? Now, the reason that program multiples exist in Hollywood is because the camera is a very powerful tool that if you can get it on camera, it goes out to millions of people and they can see it. The Hollywood agenda. The number one agenda is to get as many people to continue on the road to hell as possible. Now, the second agenda, and I'm not going to call this agenda, I'm going to call it a tactic to send everyone to hell, is to destroy the family. If Hollywood can get to the family, which they've done very successfully, you take out the father, which they've done, then
world, wherever you look, if you see conflict, people diligently slitting each other's throats, whether it's in the Middle East, whether it's in Africa, it's because of diversity. Diversity of ethnicity, of language, of religion, but primarily of race.
So you want to live in a white-only country?
Not necessarily white only, but a country that is clearly based on a European model in which whites will basically remain the overwhelming majority in perpetuity.
Okay, how do you achieve that?
Well, that's an excellent question. Donald Trump has got some first good steps in mind. He wants to make sure no more illegal immigrants come into the country, and he wants to make sure that all illegal immigrants here go back. He wants to end birthright citizenship. He wants to put at least a temporary ban on Muslim immigration.
What happens with Asians? What happens with African Americans? What happens with Latinos?
What happens to my
You presented me with a very limited view of the United States.
You're saying the United States is a place anybody can come and turn it into anything you want, and the people who built this country and established its institutions, if they glimmer away, so what? You are promoting a process that will reduce my people to a minority. You want more power for Latinos. That comes at the expense of my people's power.
We're 17% of the population,
Right.
and we only have 3 senators. So therefore, we don't have the political representation that we deserve.
And you want more and more and more.
Of course, because we only
How
have 3
much?
senators.
How much political?
At this point, 14 senators.
And 50 years from now, how many would you like?
Let's talk about 50 years from now. In 2044,
Yes.
white non-Hispanics will become a minority. Is that what you're afraid of?
Mr. Ramos, it's fantastic for you, for my people to lose power and become a minority. That's fantastic for you. How does it feel for
Because
me?
it is our country, Mr.
Our
Taylor.
country, our
It is our country. Don't you think we both have the same rights in this country?
I think that despite this nonsense in the Declaration about anybody being anyone,
Excuse
the
me,
white people,
you don't
the white
think
people.
we are all created equal?
No. What you want to do is change this country into an entire nation in which white people will become refugees in their own land
So
if your vision comes through.
You don't want to
true.
live alongside Mexicans.
Now, why is it wrong for me not to want my neighborhood to change?
You'll
If
be-
my neighborhood is European, if my neighborhood they don't keep chickens in the backyard that crow at 3 in the morning.
What are you
they
talking
don't,
about?
I'm
That's a
talking
complete
about
stereotype.
Mexicans.
That's a complete stereotype.
Yes, and stereotypes are all true.
It's
aren't
a
they?
racist stereotype, what you're saying.
Oh, racist! Give me a break.
What are you going to do with the thousands of Muslims,
We certainly
American
will.
citizens, who are serving in the military?
I'm sure that we just couldn't possibly survive with all those Muslim Navy Rangers. Yes, I'm sure that's true.
That is not right.
No, I'm talking
You
about
cannot make
Muslim.
fun of people who are saving our lives.
They want special holidays and special food. In
So if you
school
don't like their
restaurants.
religion, you don't have to join them. That's fine.
No,
but,
they are.
But,
wait,
but
I'm
also,
not-
but you can't discriminate against them simply
Of
because
course.
you.
Of course, anyone should have the right to discriminate against anyone he wishes. And the point is,
But not by
why-
the law, Mr. Taylor. You can't do that.
I think the law is absolutely incorrect.
Do you feel that whites are superior, are more
I think,
intelligent than blacks?
I think, on average, whites are more intelligent than blacks, and North Asians are more intelligent than whites.
How can you
All
say
of this
that?
is- How can you think otherwise?
Mr. Taylor,
Why
what are you...
evidence would you have to think that a pygmy is, on average, is just as intelligent as a Dane? Why would you think that? The entire record of history is completely consistent with the assumption that black Africans are less intelligent on average than Asians or Caucasians.
That's absurd. That's repugnant and
Wait,
absurd.
Repugnant to you?
Yes, of course.
Why would you even entertain the possibility that on average a pygmy is as intelligent as a Japanese?
The comparison that you are trying to make, it is simply impossible because of historical circumstances.
I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble for talking about this, but he said one day he walks through the hall down there in the basement and the door's open. And he looked in there, and here's a military man in a military uniform watching about 100 television sets that were on the walls. This is 1968.
Wow.
And the guy says to him, "Hey, come on in. You want to see this?" Well, you don't have somebody who doesn't know anything, who's not connected with the military, come in and watch a military operation. That just doesn't make any sense.
No.
And so my dad looks at these TVs on the wall, and he's like, "What is this? This is just people walking around doing their business, everyday stuff." And he says, "Oh, we have cameras in every single television set that's sold. So when we need to keep an eye on someone, we can just dial into that set." 1968. Now, we know that's happening now with our smart TVs, but back then,
We're on the same page that none of these people went to space, right? And I'll do you one better. We're on the same page that no human ever in the history of humanity has ever been to space. We've never been to the moon, and we certainly have not sent rovers to Mars. Why? Because there's a firmament above the Earth, and the Earth is flat. This space flight, do y'all really think Katy Perry is on this rocket? Do you think Bezos put his fiance on this capsule? This capsule is free falling right now. And it's free falling, and the chutes come out at 6,000 feet. That's a little over a mile for it to slow down from a free fall. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? And this landing right here, let me tell you what. The commentators were like, oh, it's a soft landing, even though it looks like a hard landing. Look at this. Look at that landing. That right there. Hold on. Yeah, okay, soft landing. All right. Look at that. It bounced, bro. It bounced. And you see that smoke? How fast that smoke? That right there is a neck operation. That right there is a chiropractic membership. Like weekly sessions, bro, to recover from this joint. Katy Perry? Come on, man. And like, everything's cool. Everyone walks out cool, no injuries. Look at Bezos. This is how they pulled it off to make it look like they're in space. They got on one of those zero-G airplanes. This is regular stuff that anyone can do. It makes you look like you're flying around zero-G. They just go up and down like this, okay? And they can put a capsule inside of one of these planes and put screens around and make it seem like they're looking outside to around Earth. They can fake all that. This is Bezos. Okay, this is Bezos. He's got billions of dollars. He can make it look real. You know how like in the movies, they're driving the car and you know they're not actually driving the car and the city's going by them and all that and trees and all that. They can do any of that. These are billionaires. And the reason why they don't want you to know that the Earth is flat and that there's a firmament above us, and they renamed the firmament. They call it the Van Allen belt, a radiation belt we can't get through. Oh, that's the firmament. The reason why they don't want you to know about it is because it points to a creator. It means that there's a creator. It points to the Bible, points to the God of the Bible, who is Jesus Christ, who is God in the flesh, who came down to earth to save us from our sins. They don't want you to know none of that. The elites, all the people who report to, they don't want you to know that you're perfectly created in God's image and that you have purpose and that you're not an accident, a cosmic accident from a big bang that came from nothingness. They don't want you to know that. Life is on purpose. Earth is an oasis God created for humanity, for us to be one with him.
The story of Columbus is very different than we've been told. He sails over and he lands just north of near the Bahamas, and he finds this very peaceful tribe called the Arawak, or one of the groups that's in that area. It's just a very peaceful group that was actually just fishing, and they were not violent or warlike at all. They're very peaceful. And he meets with the tribe and he sees that they have gold jewelry on. And they bring him in, they bring him into their life, and they're going to give him food and everything, right? But instead, he asks them, he says, "Where did you get the gold?" And they don't know how to communicate very well. And he gets mad because they won't tell him, and he can't. So he takes them hostage. He takes them hostage, takes some of them as slaves, and he forces them with a threat of death. And I think he even killed some of them to tell him where the gold came from. They tell him that the gold came from Hispaniola in Puerto Rico. Hispaniola, for those who don't know, that's Cuba and Haiti today. That area had a lot of gold. It was where the heart of the gold in the Caribbean was. He finds out, takes them hostage. They lead him back. He gets to Hispaniola, and he faces like some pretty serious opposition by the groups there. He goes to war. He kills most of them. They take over that entire region of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. They go in and they enslave the local people in those regions to create massive gold mines.
The world's terrorists are the United States. Look what we did to Iraq. Look what we did to Libya. Libya, the most successful country in all of Africa. The guy created the eighth wonder of the world with the way how he delivered water and turned deserts into farmland. And everybody had a house and everybody had education and healthcare. And we turned it into a failed state run by terrorists with open slave markets. Who did that? Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton did that, and they'll never have to pay a price for that. Barack Obama, the most they'll do is go, "Nope, that was a mistake."
But why did they get rid of Gaddafi?
Because he was going to start a currency of Africa that was going to compete with the U.S. dollar, and the euro, and they can't have that because the way the United States controls the world is because the United States dollar is the reserve currency of the world. So that's why they can put sanctions on all these countries. And so what they're doing, which they shouldn't do, they're weaponizing the U.S. dollar. And so like when countries want to trade with each other, they have to go take their currency, change it into U.S. dollars so they can trade. And a lot of it was based on the petrodollar, which, by the way, Saudi Arabia just quit. They didn't renew it. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
So, and all of a sudden, CBS News is starting to do news stories about how Saudi Arabia was involved in 9/11. All of a sudden, 24 years later, all of a sudden, oh, you know what? Turns out there was something happened with it. And they're like, you mean 2 weeks after they decided to not renew the petrodollar? Now CBS News is allowed to talk about that and investigate it, which when I talked about it got demonetized. But anyway, that's why, because Gaddafi was doing that. He was going to set up a currency for all of Africa, and it was going to be based on, have a gold standard. And so they're like, no, you're not.